Hello, and welcome to the Presenter Mastery Podcast. I'm Lucas, the amateur.
And I'm David, the expert.
And together, we're your weekly guides to unlocking the power of presentation skills. You just came home.
Yes.
You've been on the road it took 24 hours for you to get home. The most horrible part of the stretch was actually the freeway in Sweden, and everything else just apparently worked.
A bit, yeah, snowy, slippery, a lorry just went off and we stood still for a number of hours. Yes, but traveling from LA to back and forth, that was flawless though. Yeah, nice. Business class, my man. It's sleeping in the clouds.
For me, as an amateur speaker, I wouldn't. That's not it. It's a bit far. Yes, maybe I'll get there one day. It's not. But I'm, to be honest, with myself, I'm not pursuing a career as a speaker. I'll leave that up to you. So, so you go on the flashy planes and do all the cool stuff, and I'll just sit here and plot and scheme and create everything else.
That's a great, when it comes to setting goals and building dopamine in life, it's actually great to once just spend more time on business class, just once, because the contrast is so massive that it'll help you drive your business more. Another injection of dopamine to do even better in your own business or as a speaker. You go like, okay, that's my goal. That's where I want to go. So I'm just clear with my clients when I go to the US or to parts of Asia where I go, if you want me at my best, I'm having business class. Yeah. Because getting that good sleep and being relaxed and not having aches all over my body or whatever, yeah, it's just worth it.
Well, it is a big difference. Last night, I didn't sleep too well, so my body feels off. And if it would have been in another sense, I would have slept good, I would have eaten good, I would have done all of that in the way that is optimal, then my performance is better.
It's higher. This podcast would have been even better if you'd slept better.
Yeah, that's why I'll just shut up from now. Yeah. No, but we were sitting here talking, and it's I thought it would be interesting if you could share why you went to the US and what you actually did, because this was one of the it's a really good paid job, and it's something that you were hired to do. It cost $50,000 to hire you to go to the US. Why are people paying that, and what are they expecting out of your delivery when you are going on that trip?
Yeah, sure thing. Right. So I have the opportunity of going to the US. I think I've gone every month, as it's been lately. Miami last month, then it was LA now, and Miami again in January. And the perspective of it is obviously, I've spent so much time in my life focusing on one subject, becoming really good at one subject. And it's not about being paid $50,000 for going over there and talking for, in this case, it was quite a number of hours. We spent about 10 to 12 hours in a workshop, but it's the same amount if I go over for a 2-hour session because it's the time that costs. And you don't actually pay for the 2 hours or for the 10 hours. What you pay for is my life. The hours that I put into a subject, the 20 years of experience, that's usually what. But it doesn't have to be 20 years. I see a lot of experts in AI being able to charge a lot of money because they've spent the last 2 years analyzing, understanding, and becoming experts at that subject, and that's worth that kind of money. So I think the thing is, in this case, one subject, go absolutely nerdy expert on that subject so that you become different to what others are doing.
Yeah, I guess also you're paying from the perspective of what am I getting out of this, and getting the expert in the subject that you really need to become better at is worth the money that you put into it. And based on how much you are willing to put in, that's the amount of outcome that you'll be getting. Sure, in some case you might get lucky and you might find someone that's really cheap, but you won't know for sure. So
I've seen and heard that so many times. Like literally, last time I was in Chicago, that was what they said. You are expensive, and they looked at me and I said, yeah, okay, well, I'll prove my worth to you. And when I was done, they said, you were right. This was among the best we've seen, and it was by far worth it. We've had speakers before we have paid less for, but the quality has also been of that kind of class. And they got back to me and they said that they were earning more. They were selling so much more that the 50K fee that they paid me was peanuts compared to the outcome of the training. So yes, you are absolutely right.
Now that you were in LA last time, well, you came home yesterday last time, but
last time. That is last time technically.
It is true. So what was it that you did? You had a 12-hour workshop.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do?
So it was split into 2 days, and we did Saturday, Sunday. Well, we have this model called PDC, right? Presenter, Delivery, Content. And that is what my skills boil down to. How are you an amazing presenter? I.e., what's your internal communication with yourself? How are you an amazing deliverer? And how can you build content that people listen to? And in this case, they were lawyers, so they represent clients in court. And it is crucial for them to get their point across to the jury and the judge so that they can perform better for their client. And in those cases, it's, like just using a metaphor or not a metaphor has a big outcome. And at the end of the day, emotion is what drives all human decisions, even juries. You'd hope that is entirely rational, but it's not. Their emotions is the driving force of their verdict. So at the end of the day, it comes down to how can these lawyers create the right emotions, the emotions that impact the jury, that makes them feel what they're looking for, the right feeling. So that's what we've been working with. We had a lot of focus on the 110 steps of excellence, the most recent TED talk that I've done, working on the particular skills that they could use. And
basically delivery skills.
Yeah, delivery skills.
Everything. So was it the body language that you saw that people needed more? Was it voice skills? Was it language skills?
Well, in this case and in most cases, it varies a lot. It varies a lot, but every person has a benefit of learning the skills. And there's one skill in particular that I've found during the last couple of years being more and more important than I believed it was before. And it's number 108, and that would be the skill of synchronicity. And what that is that, I imagine this, Lucas, that your wife says to you, I love you, Lucas. And you say the same thing, but you go, yeah, I love you too. And you can hear it in your voice that wasn't synchronized with what you felt, or what you felt wasn't synchronized with your words. And then she'll look at you and she'll go, did he really mean that? And she'll become dubious, maybe asking you, do you really love me? Or she'll go around and that'll be like a shadow in her head. Why did he say it that way? And why didn't he say it with full synchronicity? Because that's what you want when somebody says, I love you. So in synchronicity, it's literally about, you can see it as a tunnel where the tunnel starts with an emotion. And in that tunnel, if your facial expressions, if your voice, if your words, if your body language and gestures, all those 5, say the same thing as your emotion, full transparency. Your emotion comes out exactly as you intended it to be. That's the people we listen to the most. It's the people we trust. It's the person we find connection with. It's the person you walk into a room and you see that person, you go, feels like I've known you forever, man. That's synchronicity. Have you come across that? Have you come into a room and you've met people with you've just clicked with?
Yes. Yes. I can't just draw it out of my head, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Some people that you meet, you just feel that they are genuine, honest, open. This is me. take me for who I am, and I like that.
Yeah,
I highly appreciate it, and it feels I feel connected to that person in a way where I wouldn't if there would be something off.
Yeah,
you notice.
Yeah, and it's almost scary when it's off, because they say something, but it's obvious in their facial expression that they don't mean it, and that just tells you straight away that either they never learned how to transmit their message with their facial expressions, or they're lying. But I don't know which.
No, it's easy to go into a path in your head where you're thinking, is this true or not?
Yeah.
And starting the doubt seeds more doubt, right?
Yeah.
So it's just ever going.
Yeah, yeah, and a scary fact in this is when I do training in public speaking and presentation skills, give it a guess. How many % out of 100 do you think have well-developed facial expressions? That's just one of the 5 layers for synchronicity.
Well, 40%?
Yeah, it's closer to 10.
Oh.
So 10 out of 100 will have good facial expression, like a good range of facial expressions. And then on the other range, or on the other side, you literally have 20% who have practically no facial expressions.
So they're really good at poker?
They would be amazing at poker.
Or having just 10% of your skills, does that also mean that you are so unaware of your facial expressions that probably you're really bad at poker?
I don't know the conclusion, but if they literally don't have facial expressions, like they don't change their face.
Well, why?
I think it comes down to a learning thing. So what we've seen is in studies, it's shown that mothers these days, they looked at mothers and their infants, and the infants, whereas the mothers used a lot of mobile time, looked at their mobile phone instead of their kid, these infants had less facial expressions than those mothers who did not look as much on their mobile phones.
Wow.
So the mobile phone screen time in the mother correlated to the amount of facial expressions that could be seen in the infant.
Yeah, well, I guess you mirror the things that you see as a baby.
Yeah.
And if you don't you see it from an angle instead of straight ahead, then it's really hard to develop.
And you don't pick it up. No. So I'd say that it's probably a learned trait that these people, the 20% that they don't have facial expressions, could just be because their parents didn't have facial expressions. And then they didn't pick it up in the way that they could have. Yeah. Yeah, so I think it comes from there. But that is the scary part of synchronicity. And that is that these 5 layers, that very few people have full synchronicity. Because you can just look at your own life as a listener. How many people do you meet in your life that you just fall for? Not like romantically, but it just clicks. You go, I like you. I'd like to spend more time with you. How often, like we're talking split seconds here, literally. Within 10 seconds, you've figured this out. Within 10 seconds, you've figured out, I do not want to spend any more time with you alone in a room. That's the other side of it. So this was a big part of the training.
Yep.
The question from them was, how do we achieve more synchronicity? Yep. Because we feel this for our clients. We feel that they've been treated incorrectly or whatever. But when they're doing their closings or opening, they're obviously also in their mind. What are they supposed to say? The story, the volume. How do I change my pace? They're in that headspace. How can they also be connected with their emotion? So I'd say that we spent 30% of the time working on that.
Wow.
How to achieve synchronicity. And my core answer to it is to learn how to be in contact with your emotions. That's the shortcut. That is the shortcut. So, for instance, when I do keynotes and I show a video of something that should create empathy, and I ask people like how many felt empathy, and maybe 70% will raise their arm and say, I felt empathy. The other 30%, sometimes they come up to me and they said, I didn't feel anything when I looked at that. Was something wrong with me? Or I'm like, nothing's wrong with you. Maybe, what do you feel empathy for? And then they said, I don't think I feel a lot of empathy. I may feel for this and this, maybe. And then I said, well, that's where you should start to practice then. Like every single emotion can be practiced. You cannot take them for granted. You're not like born with emotions. You're born with biological reactions and physical reactions. Part of being human is understanding which biological and physiological reaction is that emotion. We're not born to know what love is. We're not born to know what empathy is. Like I meet people who cannot differentiate between being excited and being anxious. So many in the world who cannot differentiate between those feelings. This is something we learn, so we need to learn that more. So yeah, be in contact with your emotions. Practice, like Google the 9 core emotions, and then just go, okay, I'm going to become freaking good at empathy. That's my thing. I'm going to do 6 months of training to learn what does empathy feel like, where do I get it from, and how can I become better at it. And that is key and core when it comes to synchronicity, to be able to then just switch on the sensation of empathy and find that within you. So that was one of the core shortcuts. But then we also then, of course, worked a lot on facial expressions, which was one of the other layers.
So how do you go about working on your facial expressions?
It's copying. My favorite is copying actors, good actors. So some of my favorite actors, you have Johnny Depp, fantastic facial expressions, and you have Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio, absolute legend at facial expressions. Jim Carrey, legend facial expressions.
Impossible to beat.
Yeah, impossible to beat. So these are some of my favorites, but you may have your own favorites. But what then I do is I when I look at them, I go like, oh my God, that's a great facial expression. And I just pause and I do the same thing. And that's the way I practice. And then maybe I'll just keep that facial expression, and I'll keep on practicing it during the day just to find the muscles for that particular facial expression. And that is actually, that's so interesting when we watch movies and we don't believe the character. You watch, it's got a good plot, it's got a good story, but you don't believe the character. That's because they're not in synchronicity. They are not in connection with their feeling all through the 5 layers. And when we look at them, we can see that they're faking it. They're not in the role. So yeah, and that's why, that's what differentiates great actors from some not so great actors. The great actors, Tom Hanks, again, who just like literally spends 6 months getting into character, living like that character, being that. That's incredible. That's amazing. That's how you learn feelings, learn facial expressions. So I'd say that, and another favorite is just walking around in the street in the city, and you spot someone doing a facial expression you haven't tried in a while, and you go like, "Ooh, let's do that." Yeah, okay, we're gonna try that. So I just try it on. So I think that looks a bit psycho sometimes. If one of their friends would have seen me go like, "Yeah, did he just pick up his facial expression?" It's weird.
But it's interesting with the face. I mean, I can raise my right eyebrow, but it's really hard to do do the left one.
Yeah.
and it's just muscles, but it's some muscles that you just haven't trained.
Yeah.
And obviously you can, but it takes practice and dedication.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear you. I can move my right ear.
What?
I can't move my left ear.
Yeah. I don't even know how to move one ear. Muscles.
I could probably learn, but and then we come back to the infant bit. Copying your parents' face. That's where it starts. Imagine then that maybe say that the first 2 years are like insanely important for facial expressions. So if you had a mother or a father who did the both eyebrow thing in front of your baby girl. And the baby goes, right, yeah, I got that. That's easy because I'm a baby. And you go, all right, let's do the ears, right? And you go, right ear. All right, left ear. And the baby goes, yeah, I got that as well. Jim Carrey's parents, maybe that's what they did. You know, they're super flexible facial expressions.
Maybe.
But it's not too late. I know that you can do this later on in life as well. It's just that you have to like consciously decide, all right, I want to fix this. What is sad is that I see people, they come to me and they say, I haven't got friends. I get DMs on Instagram, TikTok on practically a daily basis. How do I get friends? And I find that people who are not synchronized have less friends because they're just your perception of them is less trustworthy. And people who have high level of synchronicity, they're surrounded with people. So yeah, if you find yourself listening to this pod that, man, wonder what my synchronicity looks like, have a look at it yourself or get somebody else. It's much better that a professional coach looks at it. Like when we do our 110 steps analysis, anyone can send a video in from wherever in the world and we'll analyze every one of the 110 steps, including synchronicity. And if you get the diagnosis that your synchronicity is whatever at 60%, you know, the opportunity of excelling in that skill, it'll impact you as a parent, as a partner, in your career, friends. Big thing. But people go, where shall I? The effort, David, the effort.
Yeah, well, especially if you don't know. I mean, if 10% are really good at using facial expressions, you can probably say that most of us need to work on them.
Yeah.
But it's also, I mean, I've been trying to raise my left eyebrow for 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes time.
Yeah.
So it's not something that I don't do it daily. If I would have done it daily and have a workout routine for my left eyebrow, then maybe it would have gone faster. But
yeah.
But yeah, it takes time.
It takes time.
And especially it takes dedication.
Yeah.
This is something that I want to become better at. I need this. I learned to whistle at a higher tone with a higher volume because I got a dog and this wasn't enough anymore. So I've dedicated myself to once daily try to whistle louder.
Yeah.
And
what's it sound like?
It's going to sound like it's broken now, but sometimes it works. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Okay. But I'm inching closer, and I can hear clearly that it's working.
Yeah,
I'm getting closer.
Okay. Well done.
But yeah, dedication.
Yeah.
And motivation, obviously, because I want to retrieve my dog with this whistle sound.
Yeah.
I don't want to get a whistle that I have around my neck. I want to be able to just do it. And that is motivation enough for me.
True. Helps, yes. And as we've said so many times in this podcast as well, is that this is life, man. Don't take it for granted. Don't go like, what I have is what I got when I was a kid. I'm not changing that. No, you can change it for the rest of your life. And you should. You should change it for the rest of your life. You should optimize your ability to communicate, your ability to speak, your ability to whatever, whistle, to, that's how you keep your brain alive. That's how you can at least avoid dementia to a certain extent, Alzheimer's to a certain extent, keep you cognitively skilled and sharp all the time. And I love it. I'll never stop. I've spent 6 months practicing my synchronicity. I'll probably spend another 18 months until I'm happy with it.
So 30% of the time, approximately, was spent on synchronicity.
Yeah.
And then you spent a lot of time working through the 110 steps, looking at the body language and voice expressions, etc. Yeah. What was it more that you did in the training?
We spent a lot of time on internal communication as well, because that is also a shortcut to synchronicity and just becoming generally a better presenter.
Right. So what you talked about being more empathetic. If I'm lacking this feeling and I can't recognize it, and then it's hard for me to portray it and get empathy for what I'm saying if I'm not good at this emotional point.
Yeah. So in your internal communication, and we spent a good couple of hours on that as well. And they got exercises on how to increase the various substances in their brains: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and cortisol as well. And they got to learn how to do that. And the practical ways of doing that is oxytocin can be increased by looking at videos that create empathy. Dopamine can be created by reiterating, repeating, and amplifying the emotional outcome, the positive emotional outcome of whatever you're going to do. So you can, if you're going to go into a talk, for instance, you can amplify the output of it. You go, when I'm done with this talk, these 100 people will be able to go home and inspire their kids and communicate with their partners, and I have the opportunity of making their life 20% better. But not only that, but you start to visualize what that looks like in their kitchen. You start to visualize what the dialogue when their father comes home and is more present. You visualize these effects in your head, and you go like boom, 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 boom. You amplify these scenarios of the outcome of your talk, and that is a great way of building dopamine. So that's oxytocin, dopamine, and then serotonin has shown to be connected with social status. So that is acknowledging your social status, acknowledging that you're significant. Maybe in my case, I can read previous comments from previous participants, and that boosts my self-esteem. The thing that a lot of people do when it comes to serotonin is that it's the negative version where they go, "Ooh, am I good enough for this? Am I really the right person for this? Can I do this? What questions are they going to ask? Ooh, is this going to be hard or whatever?" And that is just stopping that. I don't know if that hasn't shown scientifically that it can increase your serotonin, but it should do, because if you are self-critical, you will be bringing down your self-esteem. So you just stop being self-critical and be self-positive instead, and boosting and building that. We practiced this. They gave this to each other, and that's a great way of being in contact with your emotions as well. So that was a big part of it. Content-wise, what did we go through? We went through structure, how to structure your presentation, that you should start with a respect phrase. And we went through that a lot, actually. Respect phrase. When you start your presentation, when you start your opening, and you say, "Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to go through the..." That respect phrase sucks. Because you don't pay respect, really. If you come in and say, "Hello, it's great to see you all. Today we're going to go through..." Well, it's great to see you all. It's bullshit. Where does that... There's no emotion in that sentence. You just said that because you're supposed to say that. If you go in and, in this simple example, you say, "Hello and good morning. It is absolutely amazing to see you all. Again, it's... yesterday was just such a laugh, such a brilliant day. Thank you all for that participation. Truly, I know this is challenging. I know this takes time from your life. So just respect for you spending the time and the focus here today, and also yesterday. Okay. Today we're going to go, that is paying respect. And that makes a phenomenal difference. To show your audience that they're seen, that they're heard, that their pains are in consideration, that you've seen the challenges that they're going for. You win their hearts. And you shouldn't just do this. This isn't like a playbook thing. This is life. You should care about the people you talk about. But we tend to be so nervous in the beginning that we just go, "Hello, it's great to see you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for putting the time into this. Today we're going to go through..." And you can just hear it in the pace and the lack of pauses and the lack of synchronicity, that they don't mean that. But they're nervous, and that's usually when we lose that.
Yeah, it's worth putting in the time in the beginning, because even though you are lacking time, or you just want to get on with the subject, whatever it is, you want to get to the good part. Having everyone on board until the good part is crucial.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And we all like, and this is a fun thing as well. What happens when you get a compliment, Lucas? Like, what is the instinct you have?
Well, as a Swede, we don't really take compliments. We throw them back at the person. So it's, if you say, "Oh, I'm so glad that you're here." "Oh, I'm glad that you're here today as well, David." Yeah. That's an immediate Swedish response, which I'm working on to get away.
Yeah.
I've taken conscious steps to being grateful for the compliment and really taking it in and saying thank you. I really appreciate that, or something like that. But yeah,
there are so many versions of this around the world. As I've been traveling a lot and teaching people in this, I like the UK one is insane because it's like, "Ooh, that's a nice jumper you have," and a person from Britain, not all of them, but a lot of them will go, "This." I bought this at a thrift shop, like that. This was literally £2. I don't even know if I'm keeping it. You excuse yourself to the compliment. At least we give it back in this case. I think they do as well to some extent, absolutely. But I hear that more, being super self-critical to a compliment. What I wanted to say with it is yes, exactly that. You throw it back again. And there's a beautiful word which goes like this: reciprocity. Isn't that a beautiful word? Reciprocity. It means that you want to give back. So I give you a compliment. Due to the effect of reciprocity, you want to give it back. So you're in debt to me. Cool. And you don't want to be in debt to me, so you give it back as soon as and fast as possible. But when you give it to the audience, they're suddenly in debt to you. Emotionally.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's not obviously the purpose of respect phrase. That is just one of the effects of a respect phrase. This means that they will be more forgiving, because that is a way of paying back the debt. They will applaud a little bit more. They will interact in the questions a little bit more. It's just human nature, reciprocity. So it's getting that respect phrase right is so important. So my tips for you who's listening to this is, when you're heading to this presentation or meeting, prepare it. But don't over-prepare the respect phrase. It's good that you have an idea, a twist, that you think through. Maybe you're sitting in the car and you go like, why do I care about this audience? Like, what is it that I feel for them? And you go through different scenarios and examples, and you think in which kind of association or in which situation do I feel for them? And you go, that's an angle. Yes, that's why I care. Like tomorrow, I'm heading off to another workshop on a medicament called for psoriasis, right? And they've created this medicine, and it is the most powerful thing on the market today. But they're not really getting the doctors to adapt it in the pace that they need to and want to. So, and that's easy, man. That is easy. Because to me, I have some friends who have psoriasis, and if you don't know what that is, just YouTube it. But it's a horrible skin condition for the person who has it. Constant, painful itching. And so what I'll do when I get there tomorrow is I'll probably say something of the likes, "Good morning. It is an absolute honor to be here today, because the work that you do getting your medicine to the doctors so that the doctors can prescribe it to the patient, so that the patient, when they go to bed, they can go to bed and they're not itching themselves to this massive pain. I am so honored to be here today, to be able to give you the skills that you can do this process more efficiently. Thank you for caring. Thank you for doing what you are doing. And I hope that you are as passionate as I am about getting this to more doctors."
That's a big difference.
Yeah. And you just look at them and you've got that. So yeah, that's a big part that we went through, showing respect. In content, I'm thinking, was there anything else? I don't think we went into a lot of content. We went through a bit on PowerPoint. You know, the latest bits on PowerPoint where I'm really, really saying to people, do use animations, use a lot of animations, but there should be a purpose to each animation. But the purpose of an animation is two things. A, it increases clarity. If you got like 10 objects on one slide, you will not know where to focus. But if you animate it, you will know where to focus. So that's one of the reasons. The second one is dopamine. If you show 10 objects straight away, there's nothing to look forward to. You know, everything is already shown. What is there to look forward to? Nothing. So there's no dopamine. But if you go click and then you build a bit anticipation up for these, you go, I'm going to show you 10 things. I'd say from a personal perspective, number 5 and number 7 are my favorites. But we have to start at number 1, of course. Right? You go click, and they're like, where's number 7? Where's number 5? Give it to me. And you sell your data and you animate. It's such an easy hack to do in PowerPoints. So we went through those bits as well, and bits and bobs on that. So it was a full 10, 12 hour, 2-day session filled with literally 15, 20 minute theory, 20 minute practice, 15 minute theory, 15 minute, 20 minute practice, just over and over and over and over and over and over again. A lot of video recording, audio recording, listen to your voice, look at your video.
Yeah. What did they say in the end? Like, what was the difference for them?
In my personal case, I had just so much relevant material for them. It never ended. And that's not what they're used to. That's not usually what people are used to generally. They're used to that one person has one focus, one subject. Yeah. But like P presenter, I could do a 3-day training on that, on how to harness your own emotions and substances. D, delivery skills. I can easily do a 5-day training on just delivery skills and how to deliver better, where to stand, where to move, facial expressions and so on. And then content, another 5 days. So and all of that will be different. So it's not like rehashing anything. So they just found high relevant value content. So that was one of the things. And then again, I have my 20 soon. Jeez, man, I have to upgrade that number. We are looking at 26 years of experience in the subject. And something shifted about 6 years ago. The first 20, I was delivering things according to a structure, like a pre-planned structure. These last 6 years, I go into a room, I don't really have that much of a plan. I just pick it up. I go, you need this, you need this, you need this. I'm going to give you exactly that. I'm going to give you exactly that. So every single person gets tailored, adapted content and feedback and growth. And for 20 years, I had this like disposition that I went through.
Yeah, so this is what everyone is going to do. Now we're going to do step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then
No idea, Lucas, why that took me 20 years to come to. Maybe it's just a sense of maturity that I needed 2 decades to just go, it doesn't matter what you throw at me. Whatever I see, I have a solution and an answer to. Maybe that just took 2 decades for me. Makes sense, I think. You know, it just feels a bit slow.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, having true experience in a field and doing the same thing over and over. Not the same thing. Well, you're constantly developing, but it's in the same subject matter.
Yeah.
And becoming really, really, really the expert in that subject matter will just make you see things that others are not seeing.
Yeah.
And I know there are of people out there that just like, I want to be good at this, but then I want to climb the career ladder. I want to change. I want to do different things. I remember one time, long time ago, when I was working in the events industry, and we had an awards ceremony. And one of the account managers at the company, they handed out like the best account manager of the year and the best business manager and so on. And this guy, Thomas, went up and he won his 5th, 6th, 7th year in a row as account manager. Unbeatable in sales. Like no one could beat him. He hit the salary roof ceiling every single month. Always. And what he said in his thank you speech was, everyone here will tell you to put in the work, climb, get to the next level, whatever you do. Like everyone's climbing.
Yeah.
I am not.
Yeah.
I am the best in this role. I'll keep being the best in this role. I will not pursue anything else. This is what I'm doing, and I'm brilliant.
Oh, that's great.
and it was true. So he really mastered his role and just kept on doing it instead of just releasing that and going for something else.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
that's a brilliant perspective.
Yeah, I really liked it, and it's stuck with me for a very long time.
That's inspiring, man.
Yeah,
I just realized we another like association to this that I just popped in my head, a story, is that we're in the JP Manor now, which is in Sweden, and there's a park behind here. It's like a football field, whatever. There's different measurements all around the world. Yeah. So it's like a football field, or 2 if you include everything. I remember we had a gardener who came over, Terry, and he was going to help us out. And he walks into the park, and he's French, so quite passionate. And he just goes off all cylinders, And he goes, "My God, you have that tree, and you have that tree. Oh my God, you have these bushes, and you have these flowers. And look at this, the soil." Just picks up the soil, smells the soils, go around, and looks at him like, "Look at the hedge." And he goes, "What have you done with this tree, David? How could you do this to this tree? We have to. This is our focus." And I'm like, that was a mind-blowing experience, because he went around 20 minutes and he saw things that I had never seen and could never see, because he'd spent 10 years, 15 years being a gardener, being an expert gardener. The same thing, where I go in and I look at people communicate, I see these things because I spent time in it. Exactly the same as he did. For me, it's practically everything's green. Nuances of green, right? Trees are green, grass is green, hedges are green, bushes are green, leaves are generally green. The garden is green. Not to him, my man.
There's 50 shades of green, David.
Oh, yeah, that was a good experience. Yeah, so I think that it's a good summary of the session we did. Great takeaways. I think we've covered a bunch of them in the pod as well.
Yeah, really cool. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing the results for them, to see how their performances in court changes, and just yeah,
it's going to be fascinating to hear. A super bonus skill as well. I went there Wednesday, right? I'm back yesterday, Sunday, and I am not jet lagged at all. And the trick I've learned when I go to new time zones is just keep to your own habits and your own times, and you won't get jet lagged. And so I went to bed the same time as in Sweden. I woke up in the same time as in Sweden. That meant that I ate breakfast at 12:30 at night, and then I ate lunch at 5:30 in the morning. And then I went to the gym at 2:00 in the morning. So I kept exactly the same schedule I have in Sweden. And that's a 9-hour time difference. I'm back now. I slept like a baby tonight.
Nice.
Just kept the time zone. So that's it's important to know that time zones and circadian rhythm is controlled by sunshine, by when you eat, and when you exercise. So all 3 are impacted, or impacts the circadian rhythm.
So if one is non-negotiable, sunlight, different time zones, then keep the other ones.
Yeah. Yes. And I just avoided sunlight for these days. Yeah. And so I just
well, that's also a way to do it.
Yeah. Well, in the conference room, I could do the choice to go out into the hallway where there was sun, or I could be in the conference room and go in the other direction, which was the kitchen, which I did. I can live without sunshine for 5 days or 4 days. That's not a problem, as long as I can keep that circadian rhythm going. Because going backwards and forwards in time zones could otherwise, literally, truly bring down your energy. Yeah. Cool, my man.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. High five. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.